Hello, and welcome to another episode of My Opinion Means Nothing. I know it's been a very long time, but all I can say is I'm back with more opinions that mean absolutely nothing. So without further ado, on this episode, I don't know, since it's been a very long time since I've had the episode, since I've had a podcast as it is, or not that I've had a podcast, my own podcast that I've been on, I thought, what better guest to have on the show other than someone that I had on the first year of my podcast coming out? None other than the mind that is split behind poetry.
Damn, that hit me, boy. That hit me. I gotta stop you right there. Oh, these sessions are gonna get me. Oh, hello.
Welcome, Minnie.
Oh gosh, you have me sweating out here. Hi. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. It's been so long.
All right.
But you know what? It feels like a minute.
It feels
since
like
we sat in that park.
With
with those planes flying behind us every 2 minutes.
Those mad planes, innit?
I must say this year has come around so well that the next time we host, we're in inside.
Yeah, in a better space.
Yeah, we have a much better space today.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know. It's been so long that I've talked to people through the form of podcast. And
yeah, I feel you.
I mean, we talk all the time, so this is kind of, I don't know, I have this nervous energy because I haven't recorded an episode in a very long time, as if it's kind of the first episode again, but it's not. It's
not.
It's just refreshed. I've had I don't know how to describe it other than this break that I've had from hosting my own podcast. It's been a space of enlightenment, kind of, where I've had a time of looking back over the episodes I have had out and looking on the podcast content that is out there now and thinking okay, that's what I've had so far. Now, how can I kind of move this to the next level? What else can I do? What other kind of ventures or stories can I tell? So I've just been having a research period. I want to shout out to the Blue Ticks podcast.
Yeah.
That is with man like Space 2. If you don't know about Space 2, make sure you check out the rapper Space 2 on Spotify, SoundCloud. He's got a EP out called Free Fall. I think it's there. I think
he's hella dope.
Yeah, he's hella dope. I've got some work with him. I made a beat. He's jumped on it. We've got some other tracks where he's gonna be on my album and stuff like that. He's working on some other project. I think that's coming out soon as well. He's got a recent single that's come out. Just check him out.
I feel he's gonna be a really smooth artist that's about to come on the scene.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's there and he's doing it, and I like it. You've been working with him, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been working with him, but I like him because he's something that's different. He has this. He says to me that he doesn't have choruses on his songs because he doesn't like choruses. He doesn't like writing them, and he doesn't see the point of them. So he said to me, "What's the point of them being on my songs if I don't enjoy writing them or I don't enjoy listening to them? So why would I put them on my work?" And I was just like, "Huh."
I feel that.
And then he said that he will have maybe rather have 3 powerful verses and just have it broken up by maybe the instrumental or pause instead of actually accenting it with this catchy thing to keep the audience there with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I think is real interesting.
Do you know that comes into do you know what some of the rappers out there are doing nowadays? Actually, they've been doing it for a while now. Do you know storytelling?
Yeah.
Storytelling keeps you constant,
Yeah,
exactly. You have a break in between, it doesn't make sense unless the break is a pause, or a scene's about to take place. I used to say that before because when I was back in the days, this is a long time ago, when 50 Cent In the Club came out, and I used to try to remember the actual hook that was there, you can find me in the club, not gonna go for it now, and I was damn, when I'm trying to remember that, I feel I have so much emphasis on this that my energy is not actually on the rest of the lyrics.
Yeah.
So I can memorize it, I can say I know it, but if I was to perform it somewhere, I would feel like the hook is the place where I will exert all my energy. And are you trying to tell me you're selling the hook, or are you actually selling the piece? Because the piece is where the entire content lies.
And the content lies in the verses, you know what I mean? Like when I'm listening to a track, I'm not listening to hear that catchy hook every single time. Yeah, like you say, you catch on to that. Like I'll be singing, dun dun, yo, go, 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 shorty. It's your birthday. Oh,
it's coming up, you know, don't worry. It's coming up.
It is coming
Both
up.
Of us are coming up. 2 days apart. We're 2 days apart, aren't we? I'm 27, you're 20...
No, I'm 31. So 31. It's like what? 4 days?
4 days apart.
4 days
Damn, that's
apart.
not bad, you know. That's not bad.
It's all mad.
You're back in the country on my birthday, you know. I remember that. So that's good.
Yeah,
we're welcome. Make sure you text me. Yeah, don't forget to text me.
I can't forget. I might be on a plane or something.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. If I don't get a call, I get it. I'll be like, if he texts me, I'll be like, I'm blessed.
I'll try.
I'm blessed. I got one just off the plane.
You know,
that speaks volumes for me. Transitioning from Trump to Boris. Gosh.
But speaking of traveling,
yes.
I have this article that I found on Monday.
Go for it.
About Apple Express Transit, which has just arrived to London, which is going to speed up commuters' travel for when they use their Apple Pay on London transport. And I thought it was cool only because the fact of Apple have worked with TfL to make some sort of technology that kind of speeds up the whole process. So they've got this whole thing called Apple Express.
Is it just available for Apple products?
It's just for Apple products.
Yeah.
So it's called Apple Express, and the feature basically, so wait, let me start from the beginning.
Go
basically,
for it.
So the reason why Apple Pay it takes so long for us to kind of maybe tap through on Oyster or whatever is because on Apple phones we have to have a biometric confirmation so that we can pass the transaction to go through. So it's either like a face scan or a fingerprint certification.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So because of that, it kind of slows down. Sometimes you might kind of not scan your face properly, or you might not get your thumb on the fingerprint right, and it doesn't go through, and you're like, damn. Try to do this again, and then all the while like it's peak when you got like bare 5-6 people behind you, and you
especially peak time, you know, on the train.
And do you know the ones where like someone touches, and you expect them to go through the gate, so you're already walking, and they're like, oh no, you haven't gone
that small
through
amount of traffic that gets created, just near that. But, I get it.
So Apple have worked with TfL to create this, design a specific what's it say? Cause so basically it is Apple Express, which is a new. You can set it up on all your Apple phones. By going to settings on your iPhone. Yeah. Then select Wallet and Apple Pay, and then scroll down to Express Travel Card, which is under a new section in your travel card section, and then once you select that, you can select a card, which is the card that you use for usual travel on the underground or on travel on buses and everything. And that will be your Express card. So that means that once that card is selected, you basically confirm it once, and then you can use it throughout that day just by touching. And it also has this cool feature, which I thought was cool, that if you use your phone mainly for Apple Pay and say your phone dies, I'm not sure fully how this works, but it allows your phone to still be active and use the Apple Express Transit for an extra 5 hours after your phone dies. But I'm not fully sure how that all works, but that's what it does say in the article. So it says there's a chance that even if your phone dies, you don't have to worry about not being able to still be able to travel with Apple Pay, which is pretty cool.
Because the duration of it is a lot longer.
Yeah,
it's a shame because TfL is like our transport system, and it's only Apple.
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm Samsung. Yeah, I'm yeah. Don't me shit. As long as you've had your iPhone, mate, that's probably as long as I've had my Samsung. So I'm not saying I'm sticking by it because I haven't got the latest version, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there. But this, okay. What do you think? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. Only in the sense that Apple have worked directly with London Transport, to integrate this kind of technology into the barrier system. So that's fucking dope. So like they've seen that people in the UK are having this problem with when we travel on the underground with our Apple Pay, and they've seen that and they've gone over and above to help speed up the process and create this whole Apple Express so that we can go faster on the underground and we don't have to disrupt traffic, you know, like it's like, so it makes it like any other contactless payment, you know what I mean, which is pretty dope, I think.
Are you using it at the moment?
I don't use Apple Pay that much, only because sometimes on Apple Pay I think it's because it's using your card, it's kind of cloning your card in a sense, so like sometimes transactions come out delayed.
Yeah. So, and we don't know the policy right now for like what's the period for how long it takes, and has the app, as in, does, like when you put it onto your phone, does it have its own what's it called, transfer system where your balance is shown on that, like, or is it being taken directly out of your account?
The thing is with London Transport, when you use your contactless card is. And I've only been seeing this used recently because I've been using Curve Card. I don't know if you've seen the advert for the Curve Card.
I have not.
Basically, I'm going to put a thing actually in my description for this video because I think it's pretty cool for anyone that's really interested.
Okay, go on.
Curve Card is basically, it comes as an app on your phone, as well as it being a card that you get physically. And what it allows you to do is kind of similar to Apple Pay, but giving you the physical card that you can kind of add like multiple cards to this one card. Yeah. And then just change the card that you're using on the app.
On the go, and then that's the card that will be used by the official card.
So like that means that I don't really have to carry around my actual debit card from my bank, and I don't have to worry about losing my actual debit card from my bank because I carry this Curve Card around and I can use it for.
And you can activate it from before you leave the house in some sense, to not take it.
That's what I mean. It's all set up on my app and everything like that. So I use this Curve Card. I use it in the shops. I use it on the bus. I use it everywhere. And every time I use the card, it sends me an email, because I've set it up on the app. It sends me an email of the exact amount of the transaction that I've spent, and it goes straight to my email, and I get a message on my phone saying I've spent this much and where I've spent the money. So then I can go on the app and check.
See, I think that's better than the TFL and the Apple thing. Yeah. In my opinion, because it's not restricted. First of all. And if they did it, I suppose it's Apple, isn't it?
But I mean, Curve is the same in the sense that the payment is a little delayed because it's not, but it's the same with any bank really. It's when you use contactless, it's delayed anyway. So that's just the process anyway. So
it might sound like this is way off topic, but let me know if you think you know why I think this is connected to this here. Okay. All right. So I recently saw like a video on YouTube where there was the first 17 million pound Bitcoin watch was being made, and it was being revealed on a show. And the reason why it's been called the 17 million pound or whatever is because when you get your phone barcode and you scan it, because the watch actually has its own barcode, that barcode is connected to your account, and it tells you straight away how much that Bitcoin account is worth. Yeah. And I feel like that is a very niche thing. And then when I see Apple doing it with something like TFL, I'm like thinking, that's a very smart thing you've done there, because you've actually put a chip in everywhere, and your Apple. So it makes me think how centralized that thing is. And the reason why maybe it's not open to everyone else because you've created that specific chip for TFL perhaps, and licensed it. But then that accessibility is not to everyone in London. So at what point can we say that you're saying statistically iPhone is like the highest user, and so therefore it should just be like that? So that way, I never get the concept of why niche markets are not open to everyone.
But I mean, it's kind of it's open in the sense of Android have Google Pay.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I don't use it, but I know it has it.
Yeah.
It keeps popping up on my phone.
So it's the same concept pretty much in the sense that you can set up a card and you just use it contactless on your phone, so you don't really have to carry your card. But the only thing different with Curve is that you can use this physical card then to buy things online.
There you go.
I can go to the cash machine, take money out, and it won't charge me anything extra. If I go on holiday, also I found this another beautiful thing. Go on holiday, if you want to take money out of a card machine in an ATM in that country, no transaction fees.
No transaction fees. Wow.
Another cool thing they have on it is like on the free membership, you only get to trial this for 90 days. But you get to choose 3 retailers that you go to or you buy from often, and I've selected TfL, Tesco's and Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
And every time I use my Curve card at that place, I get a certain amount of cashback points. I think it's 1% of whatever you spend. But then that comes back to you as cashback, actual cash that you can spend anywhere else
you want.
Yeah. All you have to do is change to the Curve cash card.
Cash card. Okay, got it. Okay, but do we know who owns Curve?
I don't know. I haven't really looked into that.
I won't go into that one, yeah. But if it was that versus the Curve card, like any day, mate, like the Curve card, like nowadays, do you know, because nowadays if people walk past you at a specific distance and your phone, let's say if your card is just around your phone, they can actually swipe all your details.
Yeah.
And that's where this entire security thing started coming out anyway. So like one of the reasons. But I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'd be more interested, if it was available to me, fam. I'd be like, you're onto something.
Maybe I don't know what they're doing for. I don't know if it's the same for Google Pay when you do your transaction. I don't know how it works.
Neither do I. Yeah, neither do I.
But I just know that for iPhone or
I'm quite
Apple
old
users.
school. Like my TV, like I'm so old school. Like I don't know why. I know once I lose an update of something. For example, when I lost my S10, or like I dropped my S10 in Camden Lock. That day, man. I was like, do you know what? Let's just stick to old school, traditional stuff. And I sometimes think, do you know what? I like to have that personal contact to know that this is my Oyster card. This is what I swipe. You know, I don't know where it is.
I used to have that, to be honest. But then I started thinking about it. I was just like, it's kind of an extra step that I'm taking to put money on my Oyster card.
True.
When I can just, for the sheer convenience, I could just take my contactless card out and just attach it.
Yeah.
And if you're saying that even if I use my Oyster card or I use my contactless card, I'm going to be paying the same fees. It's kind of like a no-brainer in a sense.
Yeah.
The only thing I did use my Oyster card for was when, or what I would use my Oyster card more for is the fact of, if I don't know if many people know this, but if you have a rail card, you can connect it to your Oyster card.
Yeah, you can connect it.
And you can get discount fares on the underground.
Yeah.
And bruv, let me tell you, that discount is live.
It is live.
I went from one time, I swear to God, like no lie, I went from Walthamstow all the way to Brixton for £1.
Yeah. You're on about the 30% rail discount, isn't it? Is that the one? Yeah.
It cost £1.
Oh, mate.
I swear to, I touched, I was like, what do you mean this cost £1? You get the maddest discount, and that's the only reason why I would use my Oyster card over. I would put money on there. Like,
that is it. Mate, do you know what? This got exacerbated back in the days when we were about to go uni, and what was it? Was it Nationwide that was offering 5 years of and the NUS rail card discount, all that stuff to students, and bare people went on it. I wasn't aware, man.
That's the only reason why I went there. That's why I got my student account with them, because I was just like, rail card? Yeah. I'm going to Liverpool. Yeah, I need that.
And do you know, like, I was, back in the day, like, I remember I had to go, like, see my partner back in the days, like, between Warwick and back to Brighton. And then if I ever wanted to go back home, and I was like, all right, I have, like, Indians around me, so they know how to get cheap tickets for me. But how can I save more money? The end of the year, in April, when I received my total evaluation of how much I saved, made £183 0.04 pence. I still remember that day. I was like, wow, you actually saved me. Like £60 tickets were like 22 quid.
That's what I mean.
If bought at the right time with the right people around you, especially if you're someone like me, because I spend sometimes without actually having the finances.
Hey man, that's
I walk out thinking I can find to spend, and I'm like, no, mate, Minnie, window shop, moment. Window shop. You come back.
I'm forever window shopping until I have that money, and then I'm gonna go buy out the bar.
50 Cent will always stay relevant.
Yeah.
As long as power is. Did you see?
Yo!
Mate, I'm just saying, innit? Like
bars.
I was like,
50 Cent will always stay relevant,
bruv.
As long as he has power, yeah.
And you know what he showed you? He showed everyone is in the spotlight. That is what I loved about power. Like, no spoilers given, yeah, but the ending of like...
I haven't seen it.
Okay, I won't say it. But yeah, that was volume. He spoke volume at the end of it. And I was like, I'm torn right now as to how you've ended the show. But at the same time, I look forward to seeing more of you. Like, in my head, I was like, you legend.
I'm looking forward to watching it because I don't know
it's a slower season, Kory. Yeah.
I don't know how I did this, but I'm able to avoid news because I just stay off the map and I don't read stuff, and I'll just like fuck this. I'll avoid this. Like I
trained myself during Game of Thrones.
So like I've avoided power for like the whole entire season. Only I've maybe seen one episode, right? But it was one random. I think I saw episode 6. And I was just like, yo, I need to see the full season in the car. Yeah. It was all mad, innit?
Do you know when
Tommy's
they
a
say,
madman.
do you know when they say, I don't know what 50 Cent and everyone else is doing with the script at the background, but do you know when they say each episode can actually be developed within a scene, and then that scene is portrayed by the characters.
Yeah.
And there might not be much going on, but there is so much going on that we're going to break it down to you. And I personally think Power did it actually really smoothly, to the point where they didn't let the audience, for me personally, I wasn't on the edge at any point. And the only thing I was thinking was, you're going a little bit too slow.
Yeah.
But do you know what? Kind of worth it. Kind of worth it. I'm going to say kind of because you be the own judge.
I need to watch it, yeah.
You got to see it, yeah.
That's another thing.
We've sat down all these times, and the only thing we haven't turned on is Power, mate. Power.
I need to, because I need to watch it from the beginning, from episode 1. What season is it?
It's season 5 or 6.
And is it the last season? Or is it, are they going to do another season?
So we should move to the next article,
right.
because I listen. Game of Thrones is when I train myself to not give spoilers.
That's again, I haven't seen Game of Thrones.
People disowned me on Facebook, fam, for Game of Thrones. You know, those spoilers could kill you.
That's what I mean. I avoided Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the last 2 seasons.
The spoilers would kill you until the last spoiler killed the entire
All I've
fucking
seen
show.
is maybe a catch up of the season that I haven't watched.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, all right, cool, I'm up to date. I could watch the next season, but I'm going to watch both of them because I like to watch it like back to back, so it's like I'm watching a Game of Thrones movie, innit?
I feel you.
That's how I got into Game of Thrones. I had maybe a week off. I remember this, it was just out of uni,
You binged it.
I binged it, innit? But it was around, I was going down to Southend, and I was hanging out with Philippe and that, and I remember this, I had maybe, it was, do you know around those times when you just left uni and you haven't really figured out what you're actually what you're actually doing, but you got bare free time, innit?
Yeah.
So I think I had maybe a week off, innit? And I don't know what, I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go down to Southend and just hang out for a week. And Philippe and all my other mates, they were going to lessons. I was just chilling all day. So I was just like, well, I've got nothing else to do. And I just started into Game of Thrones. They were banging on. It was around the time when the Red Wedding had that episode literally just come out.
Them red days.
So they were raving on about it, and I was like, you need to watch Game of Thrones. I'm like, fine, I've got all this time.
Yeah, you feel bare left out, innit? Because they vowed to not give you a spoiler because they think Kory is someone who would probably still watch it.
Yeah, so I sat there for the week and I literally caught up. I got up to the Red Wedding. I was like, yo, this show. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, on Game of Thrones, that first episode is dead, up until there's one point that made it switch. It's when like I can't remember her name, but the dragon lady.
Yeah, Daenerys, Khaleesi.
When she hits on the episode, yeah,
my poor Habibi.
The whole thing changes. It's like, yo, Game of Thrones is a different.
It started off straight up with like wine, incest, some crazy shit fucking personalities going out here, dragons. You got your Khal Drogo, and you're like, all right, you got Khaleesi and Drogo in I'm in. I'm in for the girls and I'm in for the guys. I'm in for all of it. And then you've got Tyrion Lannister with like them quotes in it, like, oh, he goes, I think, therefore I know things. No, I drink, therefore I know things. Actually, that's actually a really good twist on it. I've got that shirt, just gotta fit into it.
Well, my next topic has to do with Mr.
I can already see the article.
Mr. Hotline Bling, Drake.
I know that Hotline Bling.
So apparently Drake is stepping into the weed industry and launching his own marijuana business.
He's not bringing something new, I suppose. Because it's for Canada, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, he wants global domination, but the company that he's partnering with is called Canopy Growth, which is, I believe, it's a cannabis company in Canada.
Yeah.
And the collaboration is now, because of the collaboration, you know, Drake and Canopy Growth, he is now the proud owner of More Life Growth Company. So
basically, like I was saying, you know, like it's an extension. It's an extension.
Yeah.
Of Canopy Growth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to end up expanding.
But also, Drake also owns a 60% stake in the company.
Raw, all right.
So like he believes in the company so much that he's he's invested into them like 60%. Wait, hang on. He has a 60%. He owns 60% of the company. Is that what it means?
So is he saying he is the company? What's the statement? What's the actual sentence?
Drake is said to have a 60% stake in the company. So if you have stake in the company, does that mean you own 60% of the company?
Well, not in terms of full... you're a stakeholder, which stakeholders are pretty much shareholders.
So he has...
Depending on what sort of a company it is, it will determine what his position is. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's still maximum.
It's still 60%, and he still has, I guess, some sort of power within the company that he can make decisions.
All right. But is it broad in terms of what he's explaining where he wants to go with it? Because I don't feel like it's music related, but he has to bring music into it.
He probably will in some way. He's been quiet for like basically the entire year to do with music. I mean, he's dropped maybe 1 or 2 projects.
Well, he recently had that, I wouldn't call it an allegation. I think this is like dumb media to some extent, where he was messaging that 14-year-old or something.
Millie Bobby Brown?
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know why he's not been there, but I'm not a big fan of Drake, not gonna lie. I'm not.
I don't.
I grew up with the girls in sixth form that listened to Drake, and my head was like, for now, no thank you. But I do like his beats though. No, you can't lie about that stuff, can you?
Drake makes good music. That statement I can't not knock. Like he makes good bumping music that you can for every scenario. Like whether you want to whether you're going out, whether you have pre-drinks, whether you're upset about that chick that cheated on you, whether you're upset about maybe you're just lonely. Do
you know what? Maybe that's the reason, bruv. Yeah, Kory, not gonna lie, bruv. Like that might be the reason why I don't like the guy anymore.
He's got a track for
he's too many associations in it. Like
that's what I mean. Whether you're lonely, whether you want to dance.
Like that song, I Need a One Dance. Like,
that's it. Whether you want to listen to dancehall, whether you want to listen to pop, whether you want to listen to hip hop, there's Drake, and
he's there. You're right.
He's there, and I'm not saying it in a sense I dislike it, because what he's done for the music industry is fucking amazing. He's made it more versatile, more like, because Drake likes it. Other people are more likely to have a look into that into that area. Like
that's the whole idea, isn't it? The influence that figure, that vessel holds to carry forward.
Like let me pose a question to you. Do you think that Drake is a culture vulture? Would you say that he's a culture vulture?
After seeing that SNL video that he, like this sketch that he did a couple of years ago, I would say, okay, when I
Because
say
I've got, depending on what you... and
actually, you know what? I've written a piece about culture vulture.
Yeah.
So what is your definition of a culture vulture?
I mean, personally, in the topic of Drake,
Yeah.
for you, Drake is the culture. So,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So what the hell is he vulturing
whatever
on?
he vultures on is going to be anything he takes on.
Like he, unfortunately, like because he has been the number one streamed artist for the last couple of years now, like, and it doesn't seem like anyone's gonna knock him. Like he can kind of, he's got to this level where he can basically, if he decides he wants to do a grime track, he's gonna do a grime track. It's not because he's culturally appropriating anything or vulturing on anything. Like he can just do whatever he wants. Like, or and also it's just more the thing, like, and I think maybe it's like more people will look into the genre of grime because he's now saying that I'm doing this grime track with this grime artist, or I'm working with, like, because he brought on like Georgia Smith on his album, like the level. Do you know what I had? The level. Do you know what I mean? And it's the connections that he's made within the industry in the UK scene that's made like brought a bigger shadow or bigger light on the UK scene, because over the last couple of years, I can only go from my personal opinion, like maybe about 5 years ago I used to only mainly listen to US music, and that was only because I felt like they were actually saying something and doing something different. But now, like, the industry is kind of saturated, where like I listen to more maybe a mixture of UK and US, because the UK scene has changed. It's less like this whole like grimy just that, because like back in the day that was all the UK scene mainly was. It's just grime and like not.
So do you think like there's a phase coming, not to an end, that sounds silly, but like he's entering a new, he's actually about to launch something with something like an article like this,
I reckon,
and a man that's not been on the scene? I
reckon he's about
or is he coming across like, now I'm becoming more like a businessman?
I think he's doing that anyway. He was doing it from the beginning, like that. I think that was always his plan. He was an actor, and then like he's then branched off into the music scene. Then he's also gone back into the acting. He's done like producing and stuff like that. He's a creative person. He's a performer, I believe. So like, and
all right, I'll tell you why. I asked you like, what do you think about in terms of culture vulture? And actually, you nailed it, because in that SNL skit that I'm talking about, he actually like puts in himself on in one of the scenes as like, where's his like Jewishness, like extra curly hair and whatnot. And he goes on about it, and then he does that entire video of basically acting like Oprah, like you can have free tuition fee. And then you see like songs like Even Started From the Bottom, Now We're Here. In terms of the people that were listening to him, and in terms of the people that charged after what he came up with, we have to understand that was actually positive influence that he brought on.
Yeah.
Even you actually got me to watch this Meek Mill's documentary, and then the way he charged back at Meek Mill, it wasn't to say, oh, I'm trashing you for, you know, the comment that you made while, you know, you were going through your down phase or whatever it was, and your low tides, but don't charge at me like this, because he did come out with a banger, and that banger like just completely slayed to some extent what Meek Mill completely understood.
But
so, and then culture vulture right now, because in the article he does look at his Canadianship. Drake is Canada in terms of that music period, and Canada literally says we are Drake. And
do you think
that's culture vulture there?
But
to
do you
some
think
extent,
maybe just the
but I agree with it.
Maybe kind of the thought of that Canada is still kind of their queen, our queen is their queen, like, because Canada and Britain are so close in a sense, still kind of connected. Maybe that link kind of strengthens things as well more.
What does it strengthen?
I don't know, the connection that he has, the reach.
The reach he has,
Yeah.
yeah. Inputs,
Like,
I'm not gonna lie, if these people do end up move towards things like grime industry, like, I think the reach is here.
but I mean, like, for, like, no other US star
Yeah.
has ever made that kind of reach over to the UK scene as Drake has.
True.
And like, I think that's kind of crazy. Hip hop has been around for so long. UK have been doing their scene, the US have been doing their scene, and it's just been separate. And then Drake came along and he was just like, yo, I like what you guys are doing, and I like what you guys are doing. Why don't we just fuse this? And then, I mean, I dislike him in the sense that he does some tracks he steals, or he doesn't write, or he has ghostwriters. But then I've come to learn that maybe it's because, and this is silly things, like maybe the studio that he, or the record label that he is with, they own the rights to a certain song that he's recording. So because they own the rights to it, that means that he can then reuse that song because the record label that he's a part of owns this song. So now that's their song that he's now re-recording, and he can then re-record it as, I guess, whatever he wants.
Yeah.
He can re-enable it. It's kind of like, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a certain term for this kind of repurposing kind of things. But I don't know, the one that really got me is where I listened to I Get Lonely Too by Drake, which is word for word fan mail by TLC, and I only clocked it when I was.
It's not even in my head. I'm trying to remember.
You can just fan mail.
Let's just imagine.
Just like you, I get lonely too. That's like the Drake song, and that's what he sing. That's what they sing on the TLC song. But it goes fan mail is in the background. But like I only clocked it because like I was doing DJing it and I was listening to the song. I was like, this song sounds hella familiar. So then I ripped up the original song and I played them, like, because basically I Get Lonely Too is literally just a slowed down version of Fan Mail. Fan Mail's a bit faster, upbeat a bit more. So I slowed down Fan Mail a bit and I played them next to each other word for word. Just word for word. And I was just like, yo, like Drake has just literally...
Was there any mention of it anywhere that it was... Oh, wow.
No. The song is released as I Get Lonely Too by Drake. And people will listen to that song and think, oh, Drake wrote this.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of that movie Yesterday.
You know what I mean?
If the guy didn't have the consciousness to think that if these people noticed who I was.
Yeah.
And they, oh, damn.
And that's what I mean. And it's like, and if you listen to any of Drake's, some of Drake's older stuff, he's done it again with previous songs where like, I was really into like the samples of where certain songs were used and how much of a sample they've used for production reasons, because like they say that when people sample songs, usually you hear what the song is. If you listen to the chorus, you'll hear like kind of the melody is more of what the actual song is that they sampled. So like, or you just it's interesting, maybe they just sampled maybe just a drum from a certain song, or like maybe it's just a certain pattern. And I listened to one song by Drake, I can't remember what it was, but then I was listening to the original song, and I listened to and I was like, hang on, but that's what Drake says in his chorus, but this is word for word from...
I got to listen to this with TLC, man, playing...
And I was just like, what? And then I was clocking this all in uni, and I was just like, yo, but Drake is like dope, but I can't really believe that he's actually written everything that's out there. So like I've always taken anything that Drake has released as kind of like, So when those allegations came out that he did, I was like, I thought this for a while. Like
I used to think that already. Do you know why? Because, do you know, what was it? I don't know if this was an accusation about Lil Wayne that was made or not, that he doesn't write his lyrics. All of them.
Lil Wayne does.
Yeah. And when that charge, I remember Lil Wayne was clearing of himself or whatever. And around that time, like, I think there was the whole... What's his group called that he had back in the days?
Young Money?
Young Money, yeah. And then after that phase in the sixth form, when I started hearing Drake, and the people that were listening to it, I was like... Is this man writing his own lyrics? I was like, I'm hearing the interviews of this guy, and I was like, is he writing his own lyrics? And then I never questioned it, because I was like, all right, not exactly my fully kind of music, but everyone hears it, and I've got literally, it's on everywhere. And now you look back at it, and then when Mick Mill made the accusation, and then you think about it. But you know what? The point I was going to make was his character and his personality makes it look like, maybe if he had a helper or whatever, we don't know, but it looks like the lyrics are his. Like, his personality fully fits in. Yeah,
course. But like this idea of,
and that gives me hope for something like what this Canopy Growth project that he's doing. You know,
I wish him all the luck of it, because I want to see what he's gonna come out with, what product.
Has he specifically mentioned in the article UK by any chance?
It doesn't. It just says that obviously he is working closely with the Canopy Growth Corporation CEO Mark Zekulin. I hope I said that name right. And he has said that the company was inspired by Drake's vision in bringing the best in class marijuana across the world.
So, I feel like all these guys have recently had a Zen moment in the background, you know, I'm not going to lie.
So basically, bringing world-class cannabis or marijuana and spreading it, making it more affluently around the world. Affluently available, that's the word I was looking for. But yeah, it just says Drake's prospects as a cultural leader and entrepreneur combined with Canopy Growth's breadth.
Let's see. Oh wait, let's see. Drake's perspective as a culture leader and entrepreneur combined with Canopy Growth's breadth of cannabis knowledge will allow our new company to bring
an... how you spell breath?
No, dude, that is one of the ways apparently. Like it's
that looks like bread TH.
Yeah, like I never get it. Like
so it's breath. Okay.
Dude, in my exams I used to write it with an E, so no one caught up. I didn't lose no marks.
I thought it was an E at the end. Okay.
I'm gonna check that, you know, just in case I'm about to make a stupid
breadth
point.
of cannabis knowledge will allow our new company to bring an unmatched cannabis experience to the global market, he states. Okay. I mean, it's an exciting vision. It's an exciting dream, and this is the company is. It's not the first time the company has done partnerships with celebrities. They've also teamed up with Snoop Dogg and his close friend Martha Stewart.
Yes.
As well as
I
Seth
always
Rogen.
Love seeing them together.
I know, right? Their cook show is dope.
They're beautiful. I watched a few episodes. You know,
Yeah.
I really, really did. Yeah. I mean, I didn't see... A part of me was like, damn, there's too much bands. Like, I don't see the point of this, but, like, it's actually really, really jokes.
I was literally just saying this.
Oh, in relation to breath. So, like, do you know how we say breath is, like, we take a breath and all that stuff? Or, like, a breath of fresh air. When it's got a D in it, it's actually referring to, like, the distance in terms of how much scale and projection he wants to have. So, a breath of scale in terms of... Yeah, that's it.
So, remember we were watching Yesterday the other day?
Yes, Yesterday the other day. Watched Yesterday the other day.
And what's his name?
Nowadays we've gone away.
The greatest singer that we have seen since Beethoven, as Mr. Ed Sheeran, was hey man, it sounds funny if you're listening to this back, but if you watch Yesterday, that's how he's painted out, like
literally. Do you know what? I'm just drop two names here, Mozart. And so Amadeus Mozart and Salieri. Legit, if you got this reference here, like Ed Sheeran plays the funniest skit in this entire like movie.
So like going on from what I was saying, funnily, about how Drake has been the most streamed artist. So this article reads, and this article is from today, from today. Drake is crowned Spotify's most streamed artist of the decade as Ed Sheeran gets the most streamed song.
Damn.
So it's nearly the end of it. So for the last 10 years, Drake has been the most streamed artist. Can we put this into like quantum things? Like
effed up, innit?
That's crazy.
That's 10 years. With 2000, almost in 2020, yeah. So just when we were about to enter sixth form, like 2010, 2011 time, and since basically our teenage adolescence going into now.
Yeah.
And we're still sitting with this man.
And Drake is...
And then the other side of us has been torn apart with Ed Sheeran through Divide, you know. Like if it wasn't enough already.
Oh, that...
Mate, that speaks... Do you know what? Yeah, you know I deep this shit. That speaks volumes to me.
That's crazy numbers. Like no other artist in the last decade.
J. Cole is still 9, you know. I looked the other day. J. Cole is still 9th.
Do you want to hear them? Do you want to know what the number is?
Yeah.
Drake is leading for the last 10 years. He has with over 28 billion global streams. Global,
Jesus Christ.
28 billion.
Bruv, I feel like if I mention it to a dog might just like wag his tail on the name of like Drake, you know. Damn.
I don't even know what the numbers are, what this looks like, but like...
It's I find it troubling.
No other artist has been as listened to as Drake in the last 10 years.
But why do you think that is?
Because he has a song for everything, Minnie.
And so does Ed.
Yeah, but Drake...
But Ed's got songs that each song can be replayed.
Yeah,
whereas
of
Drake's
course.
Got the genre for everything in like terms of every beat he makes. Like he's like, don't worry, I got everything covered.
Like it's not even beat. Like it's a beat. Like
No,
any
like,
beat that
each
he
song,
jumps on, everything. Literally, like he can be like, I don't know, like the say like there's some calypso Latin song could be out and Drake drops a verse on it. Now Latin music's blowing up. You're like, whoa, hang on.
Yeah, no, do you know what? Yeah, I get that.
Like it's not like it's a thing where like, do you know most artists, yeah, they'll do a genre, yeah, but they'll do a genre in a way like where like for example where what's his name, Chris Brown, when he done his pop album, he done like 20-30 tracks, yeah, of all pop. Like he was like getting pop out of his system. He was like, guys, I'm done. I'm done. Like this is like I've taken over pop for this moment. Like this is it. I'm done.
Yeah.
And the next time he dropped an album, it was another like 20 track album, and he had like bare songs, and it was just for said genre. Like, but like or like there's Kanye West. He's just done his gospel album, and Snoop Dogg. He's done a gospel album, and he's done a reggae album, and no, Drake doesn't do none of that. He'll just do that one song, and it will blow.
But then do you think that's what they're waiting for? Like that one song? Like
I don't know, it's just like he can make you go through,
when did he last have an album out? Drake. When was last do you know what? Yeah, where's my phone? Hey Google. I'm getting there.
I'm just
When did Drake's last album come out? Oh, did you hear me? When did Drake's last album come out? Oh, she's not gonna get that one.
Where's this?
According to Pitchfork, Drake's last album Scorpion was
it's
released in
last year.
2018.
2018.
Thanks, B. 2018. So that's
I mean, it's last year. That's what I mean. But for literally this whole year, he hasn't really released much. I think he re-released the whole package of songs.
But I feel like he's not the only one that went off the scene, man.
Bare people have been off the scene, but I think it's.
But to change momentum, though, yo.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Ed came back with Stormzy. Like, he's like, here's my best buddy.
But then also, I think we need to like kind of also understand that for these musicians, releasing songs, that's their job. So like, if they have maybe a year out, maybe they're just taking a break, or maybe they're just doing other things because like for us. Oh shit. For us, like, it would just be like, I need a break now. I'll take a week off and I'll just do other things, you know what I mean? So it's just...
But whereas for artists, they have to keep producing.
Yeah.
But, that's something that's echoed throughout the entire 2019 year, where the idea of break and what it's actually meant, and, like, people actually just saying, hey, man, it's not even, like, a timeout, but it's actually gotten too much.
Yeah.
it's all right, because what was it? The song that got to me was "Leave Me Alone" by NF. You know, the video is a visual of its own, but he's actually saying that when I go off, you guys all wonder, but then when I come back with that one track, you guys are like, preach. And is that what you guys want? Then that's what I'll do, you know. I'll set it according to my own scene, my own zone, and because I know you guys are still there. 10 years later, man's fandom is still there, and I'm like, you're still number one, mate. You could be sleeping for 3 years, and you could still be number one when you wake up.
Like, people hate Drake. I hate Drake.
I've loved hate Drake.
Like, I mean, I hate him in the sense that I like his music in the sense that he makes good songs for every mood in it. I can't, like, sit here and say that I listen to One Dance with a frown.
Yeah, gosh, dude. I've got history with that Dawn song, you know. Dawn, sorry. I've got, yeah.
I can't say that.
One dance, got a Hennessy in my hand.
You know, I can't say that I hear Hotline Bling and it doesn't make me want to dance. Like,
yeah. Oh my God, yeah, gosh.
Like, come on.
These songs, man, like, apart from, let's not talk about the song, like the dance he does in there. Yeah, that's just fucking hilarious.
But that's what I mean. Like, he may not write his own songs, but in the industry, that's not uncommon thing for teams of writers to write a song. Like you would be surprised about how many artists that don't write their songs and they pass songs off that they've bought.
They have brought, that's true.
And they pass it off as their own.
No, that's true. That's true. I mean, the wrong part of it would be if someone passes off a song of their own without credit. But if you've sat in the back room and you've actually spoken to an entire team about how an entire concept was going to come about, does that mean everyone that was not in the video or like in the music was not represented? Like, you've got to think about those two things, isn't it?
Because it's interesting when you read, like, maybe I read it on Wikipedia, because you can see like all the writers and everyone who's involved in the song, and like there's very few tracks where you'll go through and you'll just see one person.
That's true.
And like, even if you want to go back to ghostwriting, back in the day, what's his name? P. Diddy is not a rapper. P. Diddy has had ghostwriters from day, and he said that he's had ghostwriters. So and you know what I mean. And he
said it out loud himself.
Like, he knows he's not the greatest, but he has, because of how he is, like his charisma and his character, and the way how he delivers words, he's able to pull it off as if it is his own words, like any other good person that is taking a speech can do. But like, that's not to say that he's any less of an artist because he has had someone else write it for him. Agreed.
Do you know what? Nicki Minaj says that out in a statement in an interview, like in a podcast interview actually. It's actually bare jokes when you watch it, because like you can see the man is like stupid, like the one interviewing her, and she's barely giving him attention. But she goes, I'm the artist that writes all my lyrics, and I'll be careful to make sure I mention that, especially because I worked really hard to get those lyrics for myself. Now, if I see someone toy with that and then take credit for it, then she goes, of course I'm going to speak up. But she goes, does that mean I have not written lyrics for people? She goes, of course I have. She goes, I've had my boys that I've helped out in the industry get to this stage. I think she mentioned 21 Savage, I could be wrong. She goes, people have, or Travis, one of them, and she goes, I've helped to get here. She goes, you think that we've not been on the phone and we've not exchanged lyrics?
Yeah.
She's like, of course we have. She goes, but that's their song. That's the level they're at. But if they forget me today, she goes, that's the game changer.
Yeah.
So that's what we forget, innit? Like, once we hear the beat and it drops, we forget who's been sitting in the background that's helping develop it. A song that comes out in today's volume today, is actually a piece of art. Do you see what I mean?
That's what I mean.
And taking Stormzy's words, he says, before I used to think every sentence was important, but now I think every word is important when it comes out. So when you see something like that, it adds up. It adds up that, listen, there is a creative team behind things like this, you know, and everyone is sitting there. Doesn't mean like not everyone's getting the credit for it. That's where Drake, I don't know enough to tell you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know enough to tell you on that one. But he's without doubt, I give him credit for what he does.
Yeah, man.
Like,
every vibe that
SNL did change my perspective a little bit about Drake, not gonna lie. It did. When I saw the man being Jewish in a Jewish household, like, it made me wonder. Like, he just genuinely, and then when he spoke about that on Ellen's show, he actually said, no, I just wanted to be, like, vibe with my roots, to show my Jewishness, and, like, I'm actually, like, Canada is my roots and stuff, this is what I represent, and this is what I am, and he speaks like this, nodding his head, and shaking his hands around, and that's what they're all about. And if that's what they're about, give them some credit as artists, if these are people that are changing generations, to show what they're worth and what they're capable of. And for that, you can't always be on the scene, because otherwise that means you're working on the scene and behind the scene. And when you finish working behind the scene, you're working on the next scene. That's like when back in the days bands used to go on tours.
Yeah.
One tour ends, you're already signed up for the entire year. You ain't seen your family for the entire year. You got to think about these things, innit? Oh.
And it's like, staying on the topic of Drake, only for this one last point of the fact of, I rate him for the thing that he did with Top Boy, and it's just the fact of Channel 4 cancelled it.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for Drake's helping endorse and bring it up, then they might not have got the connection. I'm not sure fully how.
What did he do? What did Drake do?
Because he's involved in the project. I think he's a producer in the project.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
He's helped funded it and stuff like that. So.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And then it's on Netflix now for this. For the third season that came out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure fully Drake's hand in it, but I'm pretty sure he is a producer. I know that he's not. I think I remember hearing something or reading something where they said that, I think Ashley Waters said that they made the choice not to have him in the actual series because of
Gotcha.
just because he's Drake. Like, they kind of used his guidance within the scene, and
I zoned out for one split second. Like, literally, it's completely. What is the topic that we're on? Are we on Blue Story?
We can move on to Blue Story.
No.
After
But
this.
what was it? That
I was
you
just
said
talking
Drake
about
hand?
Top Boy.
Top Boy. That's it. Sorry.
Boy.
I had Blue Story in my head. That's why I was like, I was like, I get the story, but I was like, why have I got Blue Story? Got it. Carry on.
No.
Carry
That
on.
was pretty much the end. Just the fact that he's made the partnership with Top Boy and he's helped bring it up with the culture, because that could have been lost, you know. And that's something that I think more people need to see, that is not just a hood TV show about hood life. There's like deeper elements to the story and what they actually explore, and that's why it's such a big hit, because of what they explore and what they go through and what they touch on.
Do you know what? When you watch Drake one-on-one interviews in like some really rare sessions, but you hear him really talk, he actually does speak really well about these things.
Yeah.
And for some strange reason, and I actually do love this, and it's not patriotic, I think, or a form of like a national way of showing it, but he always says, he goes, I'm actually from a very free land, and he always says Canada, and I was like, you've got to give him that. You have to give him that. And that links to like the roots of what, do you know Top Boy?
Yeah.
And where he finds his connection over there, and if he wants to form an affiliation, that's a man like Drake reaching out for something like that. And that investment is not just because it's financial and it's just actually like the person he is. It's actually because when he heard about it, or when he saw it, or whatever it was in the background, and he wanted to get involved, I feel like someone like Drake actually connected to it on a personal level. And for that, an artist like, I didn't know this, I would give someone credit for something like that. I'd be like, you've stepped on the scene for more reasons than just what you as a vessel is an input for, you know. And Top Boy is, as we know, Top Boy Blue Story is like way more relevant than that.
But then it's also interesting if we're touching on the idea of kind of relating through culture. Because remember we went to that exhibition at the Tate.
Yeah.
With my friend Karina Fernandez was talking.
Yeah.
And she's from Rotterdam, and they were doing this kind of project where they were exploring life in London and life in Rotterdam, and how it was not so dissimilar in kind of the connections that we had. And they found that the center point was that the idea of the corner shop being the kind of the center point of where people meet up and find things, and like the idea of the drink, of connecting people and stuff like that. And what was it? Break, build.
What was it? Yeah, create. No,
yeah,
was it create?
Create. break, rebuild.
There was one more, I can't remember the third one, but it was build, create or recreate.
Yeah.
And something, it was the future. It was something to do with the future, but it was a date we weren't touching upon. I remember. But no, I get it. That
was a dope experience.
I was gonna make a point on it and it just skipped me. It was about like how, but what was the end point about? You said about Tate.
I just like the Tate Museum. I haven't. Like, that was not my point, but like that's what I'm gonna go on to. I like the Tate Museum. I haven't been there much.
But do you know what the way? Oh, do you know what? Yeah, not giving away any spoilers. Yeah. But just the way you identified London and Rotterdam.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was talking about.
The way you identified those two. Imagine if that was, filmed and shit. And that day was important because the commonality, like you said, was a corner shop. And a corner shop only brings a few things together, which is like just one person with a connection of another. And the mode of commodity in between it, it's just like what mango, Rubicon mango. That's what we're on. And that's that centralized culture.
Yeah.
I value someone like Drake representing.
Yeah.
I feel like he can fit in there.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to.
I think he can fit in there. And if weed happens to be one of those things that's running wherever it's running, the way it's running, then I do wish him the best of luck. Because mate, if you can get it legalized here, I welcome you with open arms. Aja. Just come, man. Speaking in my language now. Just come. Just come, Drake.
What else?
Because even I need a one dance.
And I guess the only other, the next point or article, I mean, me and Minnie today, we were catching up on the news about Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
And the whole Epstein. I don't even know.
Yeah. May we have a moment of silence for the monarchy.
Yeah.
Because
I think it was R.I.P. Prince Andrew in that.
I think they've made it into R.I.P. Prince Andrew, but that's very delicately.
Yeah,
because
I feel like we need to be very delicate on this subject.
We do. Like Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Is okay legally speaking. In terms of taking interview from both sides, Virginia Roberts.
Yeah.
So we watched Panorama and we watched Newsnight on BBC, the BBC one.
They're both BBC Panorama.
Yeah, that's it. And then, Newsnight. I was just saying it backwards. And we watched his interview, and both of them had their say. I was shocked. I was shocked as an audience who I do personally believe that Virginia deserves our support.
Yeah.
I was appalled, and I was shocked at how much was not being said, and how, do you know that concept of the politeness of being impolite is to be polite?
Yeah.
That's the coverage we were seeing, and the reporter, the interviewer, she could clearly see that was there. The evidence was there.
Because you saw it when she would just repeat some of the things that she said, and it was just like, he got one answer, and then like she would just be like, but this is what happened though. Like, you're saying you don't remember, or you can't say, but these things happened. And
he spoke a lot in moderation, didn't
he?
In moderation, and from the tone of his interview, because the one thing I realized straight away was, one was obviously an emotional interview, the other one was like, we don't know why that is the way it is, but he, like I said, he categorically was trying to protect himself.
Yeah.
And it makes sense at this point for the monarchy or people of the royal family to say to him, or whatever happens in the background, that this connection is actually not good.
Yeah.
The reputation is at stake.
Of course.
And for that reason, that you should step down. Like, for example, it was in The Guardian today that the NATO correspondent, I think the 60th year celebration, she had to attend on behalf of him.
Oh,
because that was the connected article I got. Yeah. Dude, I was reading that.
Oh, I didn't actually read the whole article. I just read the title.
Yeah, I just literally jumped on that right now. And
that's a mad thing.
And that's on a national scale.
That's
and an
mad.
international scale. That's a really big thing.
That's so.
And apparently, it said, I'm not paraphrasing the quote. It said apparently that was Prince Andrew's thing. Like that was the thing that he does every year, or like every year it's a thing he represents in.
And because he's had to stand down, he's no longer.
Yep.
Oh, that's. Wow.
So it said the Queen greets her NATO guest, but problem mounts for absent son. So he was inquired about during it. Donald Trump was also obviously there because these are all the big nations that were there.
Yeah.
And let's see if they mention anything about him.
They've got that new. If you scroll up, where because they mentioned Donald Trump, there's these new photos that have come out with Donald Trump and pictures with him and Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Where they're together in the photo, but Donald Trump says that he doesn't know Prince Andrew, but they're in the photo together.
Do you know what? Someone like Donald Trump here would say that. Like, I don't know the guy. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised, but you know what? He knows the guy, innit? He knows the guy. In the Panorama one we saw, didn't we see the primary photographs?
Yeah, they're at Trump something.
Yeah. And there's this footage of he's there, and this is a long day back. And my problem in this time and age with something like this is that we are one of the few people. This could just be my opinion, but I'll speak. But we are one of the few people that have a monarchy to date. Yeah. And when people look at us, and especially when I've studied at university and when we are in modules where we have people from abroad studying with us, especially Americans, people have a way in which they see the monarchy. And if that is happening, and then there is an interpretation where a monarchy sits and there is people and then there's us people. And what are you depicting up on that level, first of all? And when you do something like that in the news or in the headline, you are going to put the entire royal family. There will be, when they're saying that the next time he might speak will be under oath. Yeah. Which is what the end of his interview was saying.
Well, they said that at the end of the Panorama interview, that if Prince Andrew was to ever next time he was to set foot in America, that he would be probably under some sort of He has to be
taken in for
questioning, yeah. But he did say at the end of his interview that if it's needed for him to speak and he's had the right legal advice, then
he has to. That was, like you said, we have to speak with caution here.
Yeah.
When we look at legal terms and we try to understand what they mean by legal terms, I mean, you guys, we're not covering anything up. It's really important that you see this interview, actually.
Yeah, watch it. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, watch it back to back. Virginia Roberts on Panorama, and then you watch the Newsnight one for Prince Andrew.
Yeah, I don't know about the Panorama one being on YouTube.
Yeah.
But the Newsnight one is definitely
Newsnight
on YouTube.
one. Is Newsnight on YouTube?
Yeah, I watched it on YouTube, and then the Panorama one was on iPlayer. So.
Oh yes, that was we just probably watched it. Yeah, and it that's the worrisome thing for me, because at that moment, there'll be a blind eye to the actual problem that needs to be discussed at large, which is this is a case which started a very long time ago. Was it 2006-ish they mentioned for Epstein?
Yeah.
They mentioned, and his record of knowing him and the places he's gone to and where these activities of drug trafficking have taken place, your association has been there. Now, in certain accounts, you're saying that you guys are not friends. And then when there are accounts when your interviewer is actually saying to you, so this friendship of yours, like describing, you actually end up answering that question. That puts you under, as an eyewitness, I feel like your statement is unreliable as a man who is actually representing something very big behind them.
Yeah.
You know? And it's dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous because there's a woman speaking on the other side of it.
And the only troubling thing I have is the fact that he repeatedly says that none of this is connected to the royal family. Well, unfortunately, you are a member of the royal family.
You're the second son.
Yeah, so anything you do as the Queen's ambassador out there in the real world, is because growing up for me, my mum's always told me, out there in the real world, you're my ambassador. So having that flip on any spin for any child or any son of the Queen to be out there in the world doing that, you're a reflection directly of the Queen, because you're her son. So like, don't you dare sit in an interview and say, no, it was completely me. Well, who are you without the Queen, without being royal? No one.
Exactly. And otherwise you'd just be titled, you'd be attacked as just an Andrew on the block.
Andrew from the block, bro, innit?
I'm still Andrew from the block. Yeah. This is where compatibility in his entire testament doesn't come. And then he attacks the concept of Prince Andrew attacked the concept of social media. Guardian has picked up on that. Why would you attack the concept of social media and say that, well, this is a private thing, and that it would have not been dealt this way had it been anyone else's matter? I must say, quote, tell me if I'm wrong, if anyone hears this, back in the days, for things like this, there would be a public trial. Now, something like this back in the days would be seen as a treasonous crime. Not saying what he's done is a treasonous crime, because they're not treating it in terms of social media as one, in terms of the words that are coming out. But knowing that the monarchy wants to have nothing to do with you, Prince Andrew, shows that there is something that you have done, and the way you're bringing it about is bona fide the right word to use here. You're playing on dangerous territory.
Yeah, it's real dangerous, like everything that's. But I think, was it the Guardian that mentioned how kind of nowadays it seems like we don't, like you said, we don't have inquests and we don't have court cases. Nowadays we have a true crime documentary, and everyone will discuss it on social media of our thoughts, and we become the jurors.
Exactly.
But it's kind of an interesting concept that we've got to that stage where like kind of it's funny that we can't trust the justice system.
Yeah, you mentioned that,
to actually give us justice. They just do the law.
Yeah. That's true.
And it's not just the law to the plain fact. It's law according to that guy. So who is it? The judge or whoever bangs the gavel, that guy.
Yeah.
Law according to this guy. So it could be the law, but then he or she makes the final say as to what actually fully goes down to do with the law. So it's kind of the law, but then personal to an extent. It can be
personal, yeah. And in this situation, by him asking for privacy, whereby there is this footage that's actually available of this, that's actually happened, primary stuff that's been targeted as fake but then proven as genuine, in terms of, did you have contact with the woman, is this photo genuine? It was a photograph that was genuine of them lot, with Epstein. Glenn, was it?
No, it was his girlfriend in the back with Andrew with his hand around that chick. around Virginia Roberts, yeah.
And then the picture was being taken by Epstein, like you said, isn't it? Yeah. Those things, you're proving those things wrong. And then in his entire statement, he said everything to my legal, categorically speaking, whatever, paraphrasing it, what my lawyer would advise me to do, and I would say, yes, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. How can something be legally, categorically be all wrong unless, like you said, Kory, only law is being looked at? And do you know what? Panorama, they played it safe to some extent, I think, because the lawyer for the victim that the Panorama journalist was actually interviewing, the old gentleman, he said, no one can be above the law.
Yeah, no one should
be above the law. Yeah. And he said, not the president of America, United States, that's what he said. And he said, not Prince, not him. And I was like, yeah, you nailed it. But then where's the justice is where we formed the divide, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because all these girls can't fully get their justice because Epstein's gone.
But it's but like, it's also the interesting thing. I just think like, oh shit. It's also like the interesting thing where Veronica went to the what to call it, Scotland Yard,
Yeah.
and reported the whole sex trafficking thing to them, and they felt that they shouldn't take it any further because it wasn't their jurisdiction, basically.
Yeah.
And me personally, if that accusation was made against, whether it's royalty or not,
Yeah.
it's still a serious accusation.
It's still a serious
and
accusation.
whether it's to do with a case that's being dealt with in another country, you should still make an investigation, because this
Yeah.
is to do with the member of the royal family within the country.
Exactly.
The person that represents our country is being accused of this. You need to look into this to make sure, so you get the handle of it before it spins out like how it is now, where we've got a man speaking out. Like, I just want to know who was part of Prince Andrew's team that said it was a good idea for him to talk. Like, I know that you can't tell a prince what to do, but
Do you know what?
I feel like it was just like the worst thing anyone could do. It was like watching the OJ
I think
interview.
it's personally speaking, I'm going to summarize that interview as, if everyone internationally gets to see it, it was an international tragedy. It was an international tragedy whereby you were involved in terms of a friendship of some form. Yeah, whether it was a byproduct of someone you knew from college that was with that person, Epstein. That's Glenn, isn't it? That the lady. Is that how you say her name? Ghislaine? Ghislaine, I think that's her name.
Maxwell, her name?
Maxwell, yeah. The fact that you knew her, and then even when he went in for, was it that 13 weeks that he went in, which was, I found so shocking, when Epstein went in for just 13 weeks and he came out. And then you're saying that you weren't in contact with Epstein, but you were in contact with his partner. But you're saying that you have very close associations with her. But in your interview, you're also saying that after that period, you were also seen as a member of the royal family. You've taken personal flights, his private jet. You've used his private jet. You've had invitations. You've had form of contacts, and embedded between thousands and thousands and thousands of paperwork, which almost got lost, but Panorama found it. You guys have had an exchange, a conversation, which pretty much indicates it's evidence that it was about Virginia Roberts.
Yeah.
And you guys met up on the basis of that text. Now, and if there is evidence for that, and your numbers were hidden, but now those numbers have also been tracked, there is something you're hiding, Prince Andrew, and as a result of it, you really need to step forward and you need to speak up, because a very delicate matter will get overlooked on grand scale social media. We might understand it as a city or as a country, but the way it would be looked at, it is going to be dangerous. Yeah. Section 375, the movie, an Indian movie that just recently came out about a rape charge that a woman made on a man. And the man was actually a famous producer, and the man, the person who was representing the actual perpetrator that did the actual act, he said, you need to tell me the full story. And by the time the full story was revealed, Kory, you actually find out that you served the justice by law. I'm going to be careful with my words here, but no justice at the end was served, because the woman's lawyer comes up to the other lawyer at the end of the movie, and she actually says, sir, law was served but no justice was served, because she understood that even the girl played a part in it, for example. Yeah. And you look at something like this, Epstein's gone. Yeah. He was it suicide inside? Yeah. Claimed, it was an acclaimed suicide in quote marks, and then all we have is the testimony of Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell in terms of what happened to people like Virginia Roberts, and some of the other testimonies that they are completely disregarding. About, did they say about 30 people have come forward in some way?
I think so, yeah.
I'm just looking at the reflection it has in today's climate, the portrayal this has, you know.
I think it's just more to do with the fact that we talk about things more nowadays in our generation, more so than what they did back in the day, I guess. to do with everything. Like stuff like saying like mental health is new. It's not a new thing. It's always been there.
It's always been there.
It's just
yeah.
you guys never talked about it. You dismissed it as something else. We like now touching on it. It can't just be that. What you can't just
That's
brush
the
it
whole
under
purpose
the
of
sweep
where
it
we
under
can
the rug.
thank-
That's it. That's what they used to do.
That's where we can thank technology to some extent, because although it's given them a position, I mean, it's given situations like this, like drug trafficking and the Epstein situation,
It
to be
was sex
covered for so
trafficking,
long.
actually.
Sorry, sex, yeah. Sex is like drug. They were doing this. Now he's saying, I mean, there was a quote about it, that social media, the fact that this is becoming a social media sort of like live trial where everyone's becoming the judge of us.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. But if we actually watch the video, the psychology of your body language is telling us pretty much everything. And that the nation is looking at, and the nation is looking at you. Everyone is looking at you right now in that interview. And that interview I find fatal because I think of Golden Virginia in my head, and I'm like thinking the statistics over the last 2 years in this country of the amount of like just general cases not being reported it's horrific, and how many cases were overturned or like the woman took back. And then you see that she's had this childhood period of hers which she's been traumatized, and she's had to move on from this and everything. And then you have someone who can just genuinely draw a fine line on this and provide the justice, but power and position is in some way is coming in the face of what justice is, should not be blinded by.
And I think it just comes down to the mere fact that he will lose everything if he came out and told the truth. He would lose absolutely, his entire world would fall apart. And that's all he's worried about. He wants to save face, unfortunately.
He does, yeah, but I mean...
It's not a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that's the only thing I can say, that he wants to save face, so he'll bumble along in that interview, how, like, he bumbled along kind of like a kid getting in trouble, and then not knowing what to say,
we did say we felt like it was playing out a childhood scene, isn't it?
Yeah, it was just
kids story.
You've been told off. What?
Oh my god, guys, the amount of times that happened in the interview is, you just see that double chin.
Like there were so many points here where if you wanted to show that you were innocent, there's straight answers, bro.
Answers.
Like there's no
straight
like
answers.
There's no but or yeah but. There's just yes no. That could have been like a really quick interview. It could be 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. So basically, what was it in the interview? This actually makes me laugh. Do you know after they lost the contact of when Epstein was charged? Yeah. And then that dinner that he was invited to.
Yeah, 2010.
2010. He said that. See, this is where I'm confused with why these words come out sometimes. And if you're oblivious to all of the stuff that you're saying, that I didn't know all these things were going around as I was seeing the guy and he was still doing the things. Epstein was still doing these things. He said in his own words. He said it was honorable. He said it was. He goes, I knew. He goes, I knew. Then he said, I didn't knew. I know. Then I didn't. I didn't know. He kept saying that back and forward, and then he said, but I stayed at his house despite knowing that these were the charges against that. He was, this is what he was. He's a sex offender. With that, he wasn't even using those Prince Andrew wasn't even using that word. It had to almost be pushed out of him. Yeah. And then he said, staying in his house just seemed like the most convenient thing, and he called it honourable. No, he said basically
the honourable thing was the fact of like the reason why he met up with Epstein was because he felt that he couldn't just end the friendship with like most people do, like just ghost the person or like if you really want to not make contact with them, just send them a message or something like that. He couldn't do that because that would show some sort of weakness as a man, you know, and he had to do the honourable thing would be for him to meet him in person and tell him that they could no longer be friends. Who when have I ever broken up with a person unless it's someone I'm emotionally entangled with? Why do I need to meet up with you to tell you that we no longer need to see each other again?
Yeah.
Like what?
Especially when you know what position you hold.
Like furthermore,
that just made me laugh.
yeah. Like let's just cut all of this. You're friends with his girlfriend, right? That's the link with you. So if you wanted to get this message to your like a friend through friend that you don't want to speak to him anymore, why can't you just tell her to pass on the message? You know, that's another way he could have done it, but he felt he had to fly from the UK to America to see him, to tell him that they could no longer be friends, and then subsequently stay in his house for 5 days.
5 days.
Because it was convenient.
Yeah.
He said he could have stayed somewhere else. But
he said he could have stayed somewhere else.
But it was convenient for him to stay there. Why? He was a...
Is that the same house he said he hadn't been on the top floor of?
No.
Well, that's a different one, isn't it? Yeah,
house
that's a
in
different
America.
house, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying, like, you stay there for 5 days, but you don't know anything that goes on there, but he's a convicted sex offender. What brings you to stay at a convicted sex offender's house for 5 days? Because it's convenient.
Yeah.
What?
And then in another interview, he's actually said, especially in the Newsnight one, the lady interviewed him. Remember when she said, but you've clearly stated here in this statement, it was so hilarious. She said that there was nothing that could go by when you see him. There was no activity that you didn't know. If you could, correct me on the quote.
She said that there was a quote from someone else that said that you couldn't be around Epstein and not know what was going on.
What was going on? That's it. And then he dismissed that, didn't he? He said, I don't know the person.
Yeah, he doesn't know the person that said the comment, and also, like, you know, like he made the excuse that because he was royalty, Epstein must have cleaned up his act on accordance of Prince Andrew come to stay with him. That's basically what he said.
How is that even relevant?
In layman's terms, that basically through the fumbles, that's basically what he said.
But then you should be transparent about that conversation. I think on legal grounds you can be transparent about that conversation, but then that would lead to him admitting of some sorts. And I feel like as an eyewitness testimony, I think he went off topic quite a lot.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
He tried to put us off topic.
Yeah, he done a lot of distraction by talking more about something else or talking more about something else, and
you're right,
trying to drift you off topic. But I was just sat there like, I'm reading into more of your body language and what you're saying and how you're reacting to the questions, and like the fact of your statements changing from when she said it the first time and then she says it again and you're saying something completely different. Like, why is your statement changing when she's repeating the sentence? What you didn't hear it the first time?
And you're like, oh yeah.
I'm like, and or furthermore, it just brings like if you didn't know what was going on while all this was happening, right? And like, when we saw the Panorama documentary, they showed you like where the FBI go through and they show you the walkthrough of Epstein's house where Andrew stayed for 5 days. Walking around that house, how can you not know what was going down?
Yeah.
Like,
how can you not know?
How could you not know?
And even the people that were taking care of the house, when they said in terms of...
No, he wasn't... The guy didn't take care of, like, neighbouring houses.
Oh, neighbouring houses.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. How can you not be aware? And also when they showed the footage, the images they showed of the women's bodies, like literally naked women in all these different positions and stances, in each one of these frames, in like this red light. I don't know if that was just the video camera or the actual light of the house. And you can see that all around on the walls. you're telling me when you walked with your head down, sir, because you didn't. You saw this, you weren't oblivious to this, and you did not put a blind eye to this, in consideration that the partner that Epstein had been with for so long, considering her interview and what she has said, and what's come out about her, it's appalling.
Yeah,
it's appalling.
That you still make that you're still speaking to her. Why?
And his in terms of when you said body language, the one thing I noticed throughout the whole interview was, because obviously the interviewer, the lady, and we were obviously being treated like children, like as if we have no IQ, and we can't work it out. But the one thing he kept saying over and over again was I. And when towards the end, I kept forgetting the lady. I keep saying the lady, but the interviewer. When she asked him towards the end, she was like, how is your family, your kids feeling about this, your wife, when you go back home? I don't know if she said the mother or like, people in the family.
Yeah.
And he kept saying, I. And I was like, you can't drop yourself out of this one. You really can't drop yourself out of this one. And I know that there's, at the back, everybody wants to sort of like, I'm going to say this is a form of like, when you drop a title, you're abdicating a position because you're the face of a scandal now.
Yeah.
And the proof is completely against you. And your entire statement to an international audience verifies that.
I mean, it says a lot that he's had to stand down because of this. If he had done nothing wrong, 100% the royal family would back him and he would still have his title.
Exactly.
But if the Queen Queen would make the final decision, if she did not believe that there was some discrepancy, that's
the word. Yeah, man, I got you.
Between like what happened what he says in his interview on the BBC Newsnight and what actually happened, what actually happened.
Yeah.
Like, he wouldn't have stood down. Like, a guilty man doesn't stand down for no reason. Exactly. A guilty man fights that until their dying days.
Exactly.
And
your testimony is not unreliable.
Not guilty. Am I saying the wrong word? Not guilty. Innocent. That's
innocent.
The one. An innocent man fights it until their dying days. Rather, a guilty man will just.
Well, he would stumble as much as Prince Andrew did in his interview, because it was like, well. There were statements, guys, like when because obviously there's a lot that was being said in the interview, and everything was drawn from facts, quotes, statements, images, everything that has been verified. Otherwise, it wouldn't be brought to the table in someone with such a prestige position, and under not an oath, but someone like the people that actually like testified under a U.S. legal, not the word constitution. It's not the word constitution. I got it somewhere. I got it right. So, U.S. legal deposition. This woman has said, Virginia Roberts has said, there's been 3 incidences where we have had sex, and she's even mentioned after that an orgy that was involved with 8 people, and the stuff that was done to her. In summary, it was cruelty, but it was what was done to her. He said all of that he denies. He denies dancing with her. He denies dining with her. He denies going to tramp night with her, like in the club Tramp.
He denies even
and having
sweating,
sex with her and sweating. Oh my God! Do you know what? Like, can we just have a moment here?
That killed me, bruv. How can man say I that's a lie, because
let it be known.
I have funny enough, I have this rare condition where what? I have this rare condition where I don't swear, and it's only quite recently where I've started to swear, and I was like, what?
Wow.
But
wow.
And then he connected it to something that because of he was a war veteran and he took some sort of medication that he took that might have prevented.
Not gonna
him
lie,
from...
fam. Yeah, how much I sweat because of anxiety. I want some of that prescription right now, because if that's real, then the evidence that was provided, on the other hand, of showing sweat under your armpits from an old image over 10 years ago is wrong. You're saying that sweat was photoshopped. Similar to how you said your fingers around Virginia Roberts in that image that Epstein took in the house on the top floor was photoshopped. At the same time, the way there's a background down, that's the place where he said he hasn't been upstairs.
Yeah.
But in the image, you can see the image is upstairs because there's a downstairs right in the bottom of the image.
But like that's what I mean.
You're denying.
No, but that's the thing. He denies
categorically. Legal and categorically.
He denies it, but the photo is like the thing that kind of steps it apart. Like there's photo evidence of him being it. He says, yeah, that's definitely me in the photo, but like, you know, it's a photo of a photo of a photo.
Yeah.
And like my legal team or my team have done some inquest into it, and we can't find any evidence that it's actually been doctored, but it's not real.
It's not real. He said Prince Andrew stated in the interview that it's a picture within a picture within a picture. It took me a while to work that one out, you know, because I've once taken a selfie within a selfie within a selfie, you know. One of them days I took one selfie of 6 selfies, so that was dope. So what he's saying in terms of picture within a picture within a picture is, tell me if I'm wrong here, yeah? It took me a while to understand that he's saying someone saw the picture and then they put that picture in a picture, and then that picture went into another picture, and then that picture went into the news, and then we saw that picture. Is that what he means by picture within a picture within a picture? Because otherwise that photograph is just one photo. Yeah. We call that a photograph taken with a camera back in the days.
Like, that's what I mean. Whether it's a photograph of someone, whether it's a photograph and then someone's taken a photograph of that photograph, and then that photograph has been put into a news article which makes it another photograph. Yeah. Whether it's the picture was still taken.
The picture's still there. The picture is there.
What are you trying to say by it's a picture within a picture within a picture? It was still taken.
It's
and that's what I mean.
He didn't just stop there though, did he? Like he said this picture was photoshopped. He denied any conversation that took place after he saw him that one time and said bye, but then there was later invitations that were given out.
It's because you see, when you watch the BBC documentary The Newsnight with just Prince Andrew at first, you only see one, you just hear his side, but the panorama, they kind of go into more of kind of the inquest of what's actually going down, so you actually kind of hear the other side, so like the connections to kind of what he's actually talking about, these actual dates of like these stories. And like as you were saying, like in the beginning, like this is the one thing that I dislike about kind of the documentary, although that they have to show both sides of the argument. It's like with any case to do with kind of sexual assault, or there's always like this era of, but you know, there's some inconsistencies with the story. Yeah. So like, you know, maybe she might not be telling the truth. And like, you have to think about like this, like as you were saying, like this is someone who went through some sort of trauma, and now she's now found some sort of strength to get past the trauma that she went through. Yeah. To now go on to live a normal life, and now it's kind of whatever's happened in her life, it's got to the point where she can't keep this within her anymore, where she has to speak out. So like she might say, like she said in the documentary, she might say the wrong place or the wrong person,
or like the wrong position. Like even the wrong position was mentioned in the statement.
But it might just be the way how she remembers it.
And she outright says it. She goes, so she said it's so many years ago. She said, so maybe she goes, I might even get so many places wrong. I might get this wrong, but she goes, you're telling me that means that this did not happen.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know how old she is now, but that happened to when she was 17. So, like that.
And the image from the house was in 2001.
2001 when she was 17. So she is 18 years older now. So she's what, 30...
I'm not even working it out, just so you know.
33 minus 35.
Yeah. And she's been through a lot. You can see through... okay, maybe I shouldn't judge too far, but you can see through the way she speaks. The trauma has actually physically affected her.
Yeah.
Look at the person from the image to the person we see in the interview.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a time lapse,
It's 20 years.
but
Pretty
that
much.
time lapse has had PTSD, her moving away from this, her understanding that this came from the highest order in terms of what we class in our country, in United Kingdom, as the crown, isn't it? At the end of the day, monarchy, and
Yeah.
you're a representative of that, and that position she couldn't tamper with, and this is not like giving vulnerability or like an emotional what's it called, backdrop to the testimony she's given.
Yeah.
That's actually putting in the right stage that needs to go behind the backdrop, that needs to go behind the story that is being covered.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not willing to cover it. She is come out so right. Like, I suppose you're right, the way the story is being told from both sides.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it puts a blind eye, but at least she's outright saying in the interview, she goes, there are two sides to this. There are so clearly two sides to this. But by the way she says it, she's saying they're so different that, come on, my side is so right. And she says it, she goes, and my side is right. She goes, and I'm right. And I stand by her statement. I stand by her statement because the way Prince Andrew has come across in the interview, and the demeanour and the amount of hesitation and the unreliability as a witness within his own statements about himself in places where he was seen and involved, and a lot of it has been refused on legal and categorical incidences based on advice he was given by his legal team. And we know what the statement means. That's why this was seen as a social trial, he's almost called it. That's why we have a say. We have a say because now when you did go on TV live for 1 hour, for how long, we saw everything. And that for us is as shocking as everyone is going to see it.
Yeah.
And what have you got to say for yourself? What you have to say for yourself is just come out and say it now. Just come out and say it. There's a lot of audacity we're fighting here, Kory.
Yeah.
And as careful as we're being, we also need to remember that Virginia Roberts, if they can touch on something as small as, I would say, like a storyline not matching, but from the same day, for instance, one of the incidences they gave in the interviews, and she said it exactly what she meant by why these two statements differ, and that is not seen as a vulnerability aspect in someone's testimony, then that means that's a credible statement she's made. And that statement against the proof should not be overlooked. And like they said, no matter who you are, this case should not be overlooked because the situation we're talking about is exactly the same.
Yeah.
And over the years, we have seen exposure of this.
Exactly.
We have seen exposure of this. And we've seen it in Hollywood, we've seen it in so many places of people that really need to get with it. It's cruel to the woman.
Yeah.
It's cruel, and it's coming from a place where we become worrisome because you are a position that actually goes around and you're a representation for us at the moment.
You're a well-known figure and you have power. And like especially situations like where Epstein had his own private island and he's flying women.
One of the two, isn't it? Yeah, even. One of the two.
And he's flying women out to on his private jet to his private island. They have no way of escaping this island without him setting a flight if he's on his own, you know what I mean? So it's just like, this is...
They seized the passports. They took the passports of the woman because one of them said in one of them that she tried to escape.
She was there for 6 months.
6 months. And when she tried to escape, she obviously couldn't. It's an island and she doesn't have her passport.
Yeah.
And that's this...
Like, yeah, it's kind of the abuse of power, and when you take away other people's power, you put people in uncomfortable situations where they feel like, well, if I'm here and I can't do anything for myself anyway, and if I have to go with the plan, otherwise, or go with the role, otherwise it's gonna maybe I might be like, something might happen to me. You know what I mean?
Something will
Like,
happen to me, yeah.
and I don't want anything to happen to myself, so I need to protect myself by going along with what everyone else is doing, unfortunately. And it's, and as bad as it is to say, it shouldn't be the way. But then if you think, like, what I think is interesting is, if you think about this, is although it's a small scale subject on just this, is also, if you look about it, how it's kind of mapped out to kind of nowadays in the world of, if you think about big conglomerates of like, or like the government, for example, thinking that a government with Brexit, like they've made this, they've put a vote in for Brexit to happen, and now Brexit is gonna become like this thing where no one knows what to do with it. Like we've set something in motion that we have no control over. We have no control over as the people of the country, and the politicians who are meant to be running or governing the country for our wishes.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on. So what?
We're blinded. We're being blinded in every corner.
How can no one know what's going on?
And how can we feel okay in that moment to speak? And
that's what I mean.
And it's fearful, because at that time, every word that comes out of your mouth, you want to address it in a normal way, you know, but you can't.
Or it's even things like the Windrush scandal, where all these documents are just going missing. What? How was this? What? You're the people running the country, and you're losing documents and things, and you're just saying, "Oh, I don't know, I don't remember."
You have like an entire library when we walk into like places like Westminster and stuff, full of your memorandums and your conversations and everything that's been delegated, and now you're saying passages are missing.
Yeah,
like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense,
and it just makes you think, what is going on? Like, what have we been allowing to go on all this time?
You know, this does bring us to something which I feel like we're living in this phase in life right now, where United States is in a state of anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this in state of anxiety, I feel when things like this come out to us as a rush, we can get to see everything, but the one thing we need to address is that this year as a whole, and the last couple of years, we've seen a lot.
Yeah, we
and
have.
The exposure of all of these things has almost drawn a very fine line between where people can think their power can allow them to stand and get away with it to some measure.
Mm-hmm.
And then knowing that the country doesn't fall for it, and then at the same time pretending like tomorrow will carry on the next day. That capitalist mentality within that 1%, and also like the power hierarchy, needs to disappear.
Yeah.
And it has disappeared, because those thin margins, going back into the Downton Abbey days, when even they knew they had to downscale on their house and like their labor force, because they had to move out and do their own middle class things and social working class things. You need to understand that the scale of your power is not just eroding, but like everyone can see it around now. And if it's spread that much, then all you're trying to do is you're trying to maintain it. And when you try to maintain it, then you can only do it through a sense of suppression of someone's voice, and then oppression of something that needs to be addressed. So suppression in the sense, Virginia Roberts' voice, by him saying the way he denied a lot of the things, the categorical terms. And then on the other side is the actual concept of young women being exploited by men of a very specific privilege in terms of how this topic's unfolded.
Yeah.
And that is, it's to a point where we're like, it's not a blind eye, but it's just that it will never be in front of our face, because how much of that could ever possibly be in media? Because the day it is in media, it would be a lifetime scandal.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of impact a country like ours can actually bring on a topic like this. And that concerns me. That does concern me. Next time he speaks, Kory is going to be under oath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will have to be. But the UK, no one from Scotland Yard will be investigating him. It will be someone in America that will be investigating him.
For real?
Yeah, because that's what it said in the Panorama documentary. It said that
Oh, sugar.
Scotland Yard's standpoint after when Virginia went to them and told them about how, told them about the claims of sexual trafficking and everything like that. They
Yeah.
felt that they weren't going to look into it because it was a matter being dealt with by America. So they felt like it wasn't for them to step in and investigate
Wow.
Prince Andrew, even though the claims were brought on about Prince Andrew.
Prince Andrew, and they're
Yeah.
from home. They're
Yeah.
home claims.
They weren't home claims. They were from Virginia.
Oh, from Virginia down.
Roberts.
Yeah, but the matter at hand is still
It's still related
ours,
to
yeah.
Prince Andrew,
Yeah.
who is from England.
Yeah, he's the second
And-
son. So
And the Scotland Yard felt that it's not their place to step in and make an investigation. And since the inquisition has gone on, Scotland Yard still stand at that point, saying they don't feel like they need to investigate.
yeah, with not much said, yeah, but of course they're gonna say that, aren't they? Like, you've got to wash your hands off these things, and
Yeah.
I can't. It's a shame that in a situation like this, where evidence is there in some form of like a lot, but testimonies are very few,
Yeah.
and that to law that's where I think justice gets questioned a lot, because okay, you have all these claims, you have all these testimonies, but there's only a very few people like involved, no one else. And the one person involved, are we saying that Prince Andrew was a direct link, or was he just someone that was there at times and places? Because he's saying in those times and places he wasn't aware of any of these things, and then in another it you can't add that up.
It's just it was a documentary. It was an interview that kind of didn't go anywhere.
It did not go anywhere.
Like, I didn't find out anything more than I already know, other than the fact that I feel like he is even more guilty in my eyes than he was before he did that interview.
It was frustration. It was absolute frustration.
Like, you could even see it in the interviewer when she asked certain questions and when she got certain certain answers, and you could see it in her face where she was like, "What?"
For real, like you could literally just see in her eyes, like, are you for real?
Are you for real? But she can't say that to the prince. But like, in her head, I'm sure she was just like,
of course.
Are you is this?
That'd be a meme moment, isn't it?
Is this? Like, do you know, like, those career breaking interviews that you do? Like, that could have been that might be one. Like,
that was the make or break one, innit? Yeah.
And yeah, that was the end of his career now, you know.
Let's put a statement on that. It is the end of his career.
Although he now is no longer a prince, he's stepped down. That means that he no longer gets like the annual the income for just being a prince, but he keeps all his businesses that he has set up himself. But do
you know how vague he was about that in the interview?
But he only actually spoke about things that he was doing in partnership with him being Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
So anything that he was doing in partnership with him being Prince Andrew, he won't be doing that anymore. Yeah. So the things that he spoke about was to do with that, because he was speaking about, I guess, kids young adults, but like
some courses or like things they were running everywhere.
But in the UK, we're only doing it for young adults. But
I promise he spoke so vaguely.
But across the world, they're doing it for everyone, and I was just like, "What?" And I was like, "What?"
And it was a young group of people he mentioned.
Yeah, he mentioned a young group, but then he was saying I
think he said from 11-year-old to, I could be wrong with the date, but I think he said the 11-year-old to, and then he went on, and this is all going live the way when he said all these things.
Personally, if I was him, and you get to the end of the interview and someone's asking you about you and what you do, this is the point where you tell the audience yo, although like if you really want to paint that image of yourself, then you have to paint it properly, and you actually go out with a bang by saying, yeah, I'm doing this work, and be exact with what you're doing, because all it seems like to me is like you don't even know what you're doing. Like, you don't know what you're doing with these companies or what in these partnerships. Like, you're not aware, because like you might go to a place but not really be present, because you don't actually notice everything that's going on. So how can I really trust you to be in charge of these projects when how can I know
when you don't know what's going on?
He knows what's going on sometimes, but then other times he can't really be sure if it's actually true. But then there's other times where he's 100% categorically sure that he wasn't there. But
wasn't there.
There's other times where he's categorically sure that he wasn't there, but he's not sure whether he knows her or not. But what? Either you were there or you wasn't there. Like, if you know you wasn't there, then you don't know her. Because if she's saying that you were there with her, then you've just
Were you there or were you not there? I don't even know if you know. That's
what I mean. You can't say that you categorically know that you wasn't there or you didn't do this, but then you can't say whether you definitely know this person or not. Or you might have crossed paths with her, but you're not sure.
You're not sure, yeah.
But you know you definitely wasn't in that place. Which is it?
At one point, would you remember when everything came down to, well, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Then I must not remember. Then I must not remember. And that statement of I must not remember, if we really carefully look at that statement, what does that mean? You were there in the way the interviewer went around, the lady went around. Every time she came back to at different positionings of the interview and his answers changed, which is so unreliable. He was there, then he wasn't there. He was there, then he wasn't there. I forgot my point, but I actually forgot my point. Damn it. This is what I do. And by the end of the interview, I must say, I don't know what to say, man. He's a prince, isn't he?
He was, yeah.
I would just like to not see I would just not like to see one of those hideous trials that take place in the way American court handlings have taken place, where he speaks the way he does under oath, because at that point, if that goes live, the judges are also there listening to what he's saying. And he has to respond to some of these things. And these answers are going to be, I suppose, it's a make or break for him, isn't it now? Like, you either continue to stick to the statement you gave on the news, or you actually give a statement which has credibility for you and what actually happened at heart.
Yeah. But
to all these women.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that all the neighbours in the area can say that they 100% knew what was going on.
A daily basis, they knew.
Multiple girls leaving
and
coming and going from the place. But I don't know. Let's just...
He doesn't remember, Kory.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
In his statements, he doesn't remember. I don't remember. In one various claims, he doesn't remember having a foot massage from a Romanian girl. A Russian girl, sorry. And he doesn't remember.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And you're present, but you can't remember. And then within the same situation scenario, he said, it's like a railway of stations of people that are leaving and coming from Epstein's. So.
And then you're saying it like, because you live in the royal palace, and it's you're used to lots of people coming and going. You thought they were all just like the staff.
Yeah, and amongst them you can see girls of a group of 8 to 12 girls walking in and out, being taken in and out, in front of you, and
at no point you question it and ask anyone, or even ask your friend.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? What's happening? Like, I don't know. Like, even that's the thing. He says he's a curious person and he likes to find out what's going on, but then you didn't know what's good. Like,
But then, yeah, that's it. That was very conflicting.
and that's what I mean. Like, you can't paint a picture of yourself, but then it's only you. But then, when it comes down to it, like, you only half agree with some of the things that you've painted out about yourself. No one else has told you.
no one else has.
The interviewer didn't say it for you. You said everything. You painted out what you were, and then the questions came down to you. Like, oh, well, no, it's not.
And then, like, places where he was like, hang on, when was this? When was this?
And then
he's like, oh, no, it was definitely before that. And
of course it was.
There's so many examples, guys, that are given here, like, in his interviews in specific,
But, yeah.
A lot's been touched on a legal standpoint.
And as the article has portrayed, we have been the jury in this podcast episode,
Yeah, we have.
unfortunately. But it's just because we're discussing the facts and what we have right here in front of us. And, let's draw it to the end.
Yeah. I really liked this conversation today,
No, it was
That was
nice.
a good comeback. It was energetic.
Yeah.
And importance of, like, what really needs to be addressed, like, as we're drawing towards the end of this year. And these...
As we come to the end of the podcast, Minnie, I will ask you a question.
Go for it.
What are your projections for the end of the year? Where do you see yourself
At the end of the year?
Yeah, what position? Where? I don't know.
Oh, do you know what? Let's put it that. I'll put it in a way where I think by the end of the year I will be on the other side of my transitioning phase, whereby it's been difficult. I thought it's just been a couple of years that have been difficult, but I think it's been the lifelong. I think Joker is the easiest way to summarize, was the summary of how the lifelong difficulty has actually now been appreciated on a cinematic scale, and just addressing that there is value and sense and purpose in how important it is to stay relevant by staying outspoken. So I think all-roundedness at the end of the year, I genuinely, I think I'm going to go back to that word. I feel like I'm on the other side of that transitioning phase where I feel really leveled with a lot of things that knocked me up and down over the year. And I really charged with energy this time and had, like, the right people around me as and when it was necessary, and as and when it wasn't there. And when you draw from all these things in life, and you actually accept and give permission for it to do something to you, and you actually follow through with it, you come in abundance. You get it with so much energy back, and you get it in the form of people. You get it through your own vessel internally. A lot of this year has just been about digging within and just wrapping up a few things and, like, tying the knot on them as Secret Santa approaches. And I feel like I'm in a more humble place as time's going by than I was last year. And I said I was in a humble place last year as well. And I feel more dignified in my approach towards things I'm going to be moving towards next year. And that was a really important thing for me to understand, And that's what I'm gonna. That's where I'm standing now, Kory. 2019 ending. This is where the vibes are at.
Cool.
I'm feeling it. Appreciation is there all around. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, Minnie. And I will call that the end of the show. It's been a weird one. Actually, no, I'll answer my own question because I don't usually do this. Where do I see myself projection-wise at the end of the year? As in reflection to the start of the year, which is basically how you answered the question.
I should have asked you, back. I'm so sorry.
But no, your answer bettered the question.
Do you know what? My answer probably made you want to add on and cater towards the answer you're going to give. Yeah, that's it.
So I don't know, like, for me, it feels like this year has gone really fast.
Yeah.
It's, like, flown by. And, like, I feel like I've gone through a transition this year. Like, although you're saying your one is like by the end of the year you'll feel like you'll get over the transition.
Yeah, I can see the leap there, right there. I can
see the leap happening, but I feel like I'm going through some sort of transition right now. And now by the end of the year I will have a better clarity as for where my projection or where I want to head.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this year I've been doing a lot of soul searching and like the breaks that I've been taking. I haven't really, like, in my whole 2 years of performing poetry, this is literally the longest break I've taken from performing.
Yeah.
And as much as I miss performing, I've also feel like it's been good for me just stepping away from everything that's going on and all the words and all the artists. Not that I don't love every single one of them out there. I've been going to a few events here and there, but like just having that solace to myself to write and reconnect with myself. And it was more so for me that I felt like the words that I have now, or the words that I want to write, I need to write them before I come back to performing.
Yeah, I feel you there. I know what you mean, yeah.
Like, a lot of people might be like, okay, cool, I'll have a break from the scene, but then I'll still go to events and I'll still watch everyone performing and I'll still hear what content they've got. And I just wanted to go from a standpoint of, I'm writing from a different place now, like talking about still the same kind of issues and still kind of random topics, but kind of more, I want to share a different part of myself. And for me to do that, I had to get to know myself again.
Yeah.
With the words.
I hear that so loud and clear.
Because when I had the break in the beginning from writing and everything, I just had this like writer's block. I couldn't write anything.
Yeah.
And then like as I've just been sat in this, not being able to write anything, it's given me a time where I've been able to, what is the word? Kind of observe things more from a better perspective of not just being so involved with, because as a poet, I feel like although you try and write things in a way of you're not connected to it, or I might be connected to, or maybe I am, or maybe I'm not. So, but a lot of the time you are very strongly connected to the topic that you're writing or talking about. So, like, that takes a lot of energy to put yourself into that.
Agreed.
So taking yourself away from always being in everything and then sitting there and just be like, all right, cool. But if I'm not in anything, what do I have now? Like, it's kind of like going back to basics, going back to the drawing board kind of thing. And I did a lot of like looking over my old stuff and like rewriting stuff, and not rewriting, rereading stuff, or performing old stuff that I hadn't performed in a very long time in places, and just feeling like different energies.
Yeah, it feels good, you know. It really, really does.
Especially when it's connected, what I wrote is connected to the setting without it being like a thing where I've written it specifically for the setting. So, yeah.
I get it. I completely get that.
I feel like if we want to put it into any kind of terms, I have the idea, a vision in my head of a caterpillar being in its cocoon. Yeah. And I feel like I'm cocooning right now.
Yeah.
By 2020, my butterfly wings will be coming out. But
yeah. Woohoo! Yeah, boy. Do you know what? I've had that phase quite a few times in my life, so I completely understand that analogy. I really, really do. This year, I feel like the times I've dipped out, although it's been like chaos, like in the dipping out bit, where I've come out on the other side of like dipping out, I feel like I found a lot of calm in there. And the one thing that I don't know if you were on social media as much, but in the last couple of months when I dipped out, I was just like, do you know, they say the people you follow, like the value that you're putting into some of the people that you're looking at the work of, and then like the consistency at it. I started gaining a lot of value for myself, and in that regard, when I looked at what was going on in the poetry scene, at least I'm going to draw from at least the last 2 months, I found it really beautiful, and it was very charging. And I think it ended with BYOB yesterday in some way. Like, it was such a beautiful attendance that I think I wasn't able to go, and there were so many like people I know that attended, and I'm like, do you know what? If I know that this is the charge that's existing and is there next year, and like you said, you're in the transitioning and, you know, cocooning, and I feel like I've gone through quite a few stages in my life where I've come out. And this year, it's just been being able to understand where stability lies. And, you know, dipping in so much, coming back out, dipping in, coming back out, and being all right with the times you take off.
Yeah.
So you're not telling you're off in the, you know, I'm not there, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But actually being okay in that time and moderating your own internal battery.
Yeah.
In that time, and charging yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And then coming out and being able to embrace that without being actually put into a position, but not having ownage of that position, and being able to like soul search means knowing that you also have like involvement of the sense of the senseless sense involvement is there of yourself. So you're not there, but you're there.
Yeah.
And that also has to show that the thought or the idea of wherever you are and your next step is taking you, that projection has the relevance of Kory's name in it. And that is where your vision would add value for you somewhere. And these things are so important to look at nowadays, Kory.
Exactly, and that's what...
And that's the beauty behind what I would say to 2019. Thank you for such a difficult year, but no buts. Thank you for such a difficult year. I'm all right, man. I'm all right. That's it.
And thank you guys at home for listening.
Yes, our lovely audience.
If you've enjoyed all the time you've had with me and Minnie, well, you can find Minnie on Instagram at Split Mind Poet.
That's it. Split Mind Poet, all one word. I'm the only one who has that name, so...
Indeed, and all this information will be in the description as well. And if you're interested in Curve, I will put a link in the description as well, so you can like jump on that. Like if you join with my link, you get £5 credit to start on your Curve card, and I also get £5 as well, so it's win-win for both of us.
Actually, I'm going to add the last plug-in, I feel like I always forget to do this because I panic and stuff, but I have an international book out. It's called Asian Voices. I did it with 19 other poets across the world, from Pakistan, India and Afghanistan. I happen to be the only London poet, and it's done by my beautiful friend Nick Orterside from Wolverhampton. What? So one of our boys. So yeah, man, check it out if you guys are interested. It's thought-provoking. It's on all major platforms. The main one you guys will find it on is Kindle. It's on Amazon, and it's beautiful. And not gonna lie, I just gifted one to my mum like about a month ago, and I recorded her reaction. And you know what they say, in a few words, a lot of emotions. She was happy. So yeah, that's it. That's my last plug-in.
Check that out. If you enjoyed the show, thanks for listening. And if you didn't, more for you for sat at home listening for 2 hours and 12 minutes and sat there like, rah,
wow,
I dislike everything I'm hearing, but I'm gonna listen till the end.
Damn.
You're an idiot.
Dun, dun, dun.
And with that, it's the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.